Right, we're live. We're back. Hello.
Hi.
What's up?
Well, welcome to Console Shock,
Episode
episode
8.
8.
Yeah, not the Force Awakens, but the one after that. Whatever that will end up being.
Exactly.
Isn't that crazy?
Uh, Episode 8, the back in the
Force,
day.
yeah,
Don't
the
know.
Force Attack of the Force or something. I've no idea. Anyway,
Oh, we're
talking
talking about Star Trek,
about Star Trek,
Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yes.
Yeah, right, names the Star Wars films.
Yeah. You a Star Wars fan?
I've seen them all, but
You gonna be queuing up for a ticket when they come out for the new one?
I won't be queuing up. I'll go and see it, and I'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
But
You would just
um,
go the standard kind of way and not go crazy over
yeah.
midnight
I'm
showing.
not gonna be there on day one. I won't dress up. I'll go and watch it, and I'll come out again. And go, God, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's done by what's it? B.J. Abrams, isn't it? And
J.J. Abrams, yeah, yeah,
J.J. Is it J.J.?
yeah,
J,
B.J.
no,
Maybe
oh
that's his
right.
brother.
Is his brother?
It's J.J., yeah. J.J.'s
Okay,
the chap,
J.J.
yeah.
Abrams.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, so the fact is done by him, and he obviously created Lost, which was good
Indeed.
until the end of the last series.
Yeah.
And then he created,
Two Star
he
Trek
directed
musicals.
Star Trek,
Yeah,
the latest two movies, and they were really good. I really enjoyed those.
yeah, I
And
liked
then
it.
Cloverfield, a few other bits and bobs. So
Yeah.
I think it's in good hands, and thank God. Who directed the episode 1, 2, and 3? Was that actually
George Lucas.
Lucas?
Yeah, he did it
Oh,
himself.
I'm
Yeah.
glad he's not involved with it anymore.
Yeah, the best Star Wars films are ones that he wasn't involved with, apart from perhaps A New Hope, Episode 4.
Hmm.
5 and 6 weren't him. Five being the
Hmm.
best one. Empire Strikes Back, that was someone else. Irvin Kershner, I think, was the guy.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a precedent already of Star Wars films being good when he's not involved in terms of directing. So yeah,
I mean,
got to be
when it
involved.
comes to George Lucas, I mean, come on, the dialogue's awful,
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
you don't watch Star Wars for the dialogue. You watch it because you want to be immersed in in a fantasy world
Sci-fi
for a couple of
fantasy.
hours, you know,
Yeah,
and enjoy yourself. And from that point of view, he created an amazing, um, you know, film series. But I think it's about time it went over to other hands.
yeah. I mean, it's already been, people. There's always been novels written that he hasn't been involved with and all that. So it's not like it's anything new, but it's a bit different
Mm,
for a film to be made that he's not involved in. But some of the best Star Wars stuff isn't, like I said, that hasn't involved him, like some of the books and games and all that
mm.
stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, same here.
Anyway,
Anyway, right, on to the first piece of
video games.
news. Now, I actually wrote this because you were going to do one last week, but I think we were both sort of busy. You were
Yeah, we've
training
got there though.
dolphins,
That's right. Yeah,
and I was climbing mountains.
just
Um,
all in a day's work.
exactly, that's what type of guys we are.
I'm
Right,
like the Nathan Drake of Croydon, aren't you,
yeah.
Stu? That's what you know as, isn't it, around?
Do you know what this is leading to? You're the Lara Croft of
I'll take that.
Stratford. Of Stratford.
How did you know people call me
Oh
that?
well, I've seen
I
you walk
might get
around
that
those small
reputation.
shorts. Okay, right. Nintendo, Angry Joe.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm gonna stand up for him.
really?
Yes,
So the
because
background is that wasn't it? He did a review. What was it? And Nintendo like told him to take his
did he
video
do a
down or
let's
something.
play? He did a
He did
let's
a let's
play.
play, yeah. And Nintendo told him to take it down, and he got annoyed. He did. He had to take it down. I think he did take it down, didn't he? Then he did like a rant about how
N-
Nintendo, how
No,
dare they
no,
do
no, no,
this or
no.
something.
What happens is if you put up a Nintendo video with Nintendo stuff in it,
Yeah,
they'll automatically hit you with a claim, and
yeah,
any advertising revenue will be taken. You'll not see a penny of that, and Nintendo will take all of it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a ridiculous thing, but it is known that they do this, so people don't do it now.
It is known,
Yeah,
but from my point of view, I think Angry Joe's actually he knew that in the first place. I think he wanted to make a stand because I don't think personally it's fair what Nintendo did,
yeah.
or not did, but they do on a day-to-day basis. Because if you look
Well,
at
this like
Minecraft,
creator program, whatever it is ridiculous. Yeah,
I mean, Nintendo have got billions and billions of pounds, millions of pounds, whatever, in the bank. Okay, now
yeah.
things like Minecraft, I don't know, what's the other one? There's loads of
Well,
games
there's like
that
League of Legends and like Minecraft's probably the biggest one. Yeah,
exactly, and all of
yeah,
these games owe their success to YouTubers playing them. So YouTubers
exactly.
play them. That's free advertising. People go, that looks good. I'm going to go and buy it so I can have that experience too.
Yeah,
Um,
I've done
and
that.
exactly, I've watched so many things on YouTube. I've gone
Yeah,
straight. I've gone straight on eBay, or I thought, oh, that's in the shop. I'll pick that up on Saturday. I've done something like that, and I've
yeah.
grabbed the games because I've seen them on YouTube. So all these guys, and Angry Joe, I don't know, he's probably got 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. So he's given Nintendo a massive exposure. So
Free
let's say that
advertising, pretty
let's
much.
say that video is watched by 100,000 people. Okay,
Yeah,
so let's just work out of that 100,000 people, probably I don't know,
we don't need a very
500,
small percentage of them to like buy it.
a thousand of those people would go out and spend 40 quid on Mario Party 10. And they might go, I'm going to do a video on this. And it snowballs. And it
It's also
creates a
the fact
lot
that
more
Nintendo,
buzz.
the amount of money that Nintendo haven't had to pay in terms of a marketing budget to get those people to buy the game because they bought it because someone else was advertising it. So they've saved money there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's basically win-win.
Exactly, and they haven't got to worry that they're going to make a bad game. So all of a sudden, oh god, we've made a game. It's not particularly good. We don't want people to be talking about this. But actually, Nintendo, every game they make is pretty damn good, and all of the the exposure is not going to be negative. They might make the odd
Yeah,
bad game and things like
yeah.
that, but it's one of those things where if they actually do make a bad game, the exposure on YouTube of people having a bit of a laugh about it and going on will probably generate more sales. There's no news. No, what was it? There's nothing like bad news or something, or what's the saying? No
Oh, sort
news
of
is
like
good.
no. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Anyway,
Almost, isn't it? Yeah, yeah,
exposure is good, whether it is good or bad,
yeah.
really. So
Well, I think Angry Joe should be crying about it. That's the only disagreement I have with it because he knew that Nintendo are super draconian with how
yeah,
with people that use their footage of their games, regardless of it's a let's play or review or anything, and they
mm,
will slap like a content strike against you, a content ID strike against you.
mm,
And he knows this, so he shouldn't have actually done what he did. So I don't
yeah,
think you can really go crying about it afterwards, but it does highlight Nintendo's ridiculous. They're living in the past. They don't
mm,
understand that, like you just explained, it's free advertising. People will buy the game because watching a game on a video isn't the same as playing it. Well, if you upload
no,
a film to YouTube,
yeah,
you're experiencing it in the only way that it can be experienced, sitting in front of it and watching it. You're not going to gain anything more from owning it, really, apart from just the fact you own it. Whereas a game, when you watch someone play it, you want to experience playing it, which is different. Games work on that in
exactly,
that way.
exactly. But
Nintendo don't get that.
I would say one thing, Trevor. I would say one thing is let's say what's the new Metal Gear Solid? Was it Phantom
Phantom
Pain or
Pain.
something? Phantom Pain.
Yeah,
When that comes out, that's probably going to have 3 hours of cutscenes in it. So if
yeah,
someone I would, if I was Konami, I would be pretty annoyed if someone went in there and just took out all of the cutscenes
yeah.
and said,
That's
"Oh,
stitched them into a
here's a
film. Yeah,
here's a 3 hour movie. Watch this. It will tell you the whole story of the game, but not actually have any gameplay in it." I think
Yeah,
that's a little bit off, in my
there are
opinion.
some games that are more like films, yeah, so they probably will get affected in a way perhaps a Mario game or a Call of Duty wouldn't, because
Yeah.
the storyline is so heavy that
Mm.
it's basically, the cutscenes are so big that people will watch the stitched together cutscenes video that someone might upload to YouTube and think, well, I've seen it, I've seen all the storyline, I'm not interested in playing it. And that'll
Yeah.
especially be true of like a David Cage game, like Heavy Rain or Beyond Two Souls, which are very basically just a movie that you occasionally press left or right in. That is literally, you're getting a huge chunk of the experience by just watching it.
Mm.
Even so, I'm the sort of person that will still want to play it because I want to, To be
Yeah,
fair, with
no,
a game like Beyond
of
Two
course.
Souls, there are different endings that might happen depending on how you play it. But even so, someone might think, "Fuck it, I'm not going to get it because I've seen the end, the whole storyline." You know.
Mm.
Whereas,
And,
yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, if I was a game publisher, I think that's a little bit wrong because it's the game experience that you're watching. If you're watching that, someone play FIFA or someone play Minecraft or someone play, Counter-Strike, there's always going to be a different outcome. They're always
yeah,
going to do something different. So, the cutscenes to me are like a movie, and just to show all of those in a big sequence. I'm not 100% against it, but I could see why games publishers would be annoyed with that,
that's probably the only
especially.
example where they might have a point. I think, isn't it? That's only time where they
Yeah,
might have a point because if they're very story-driven games, it could affect people buying the game. But
exactly,
the only thing where
exactly.
they can't do anything is if it's a review. If someone's just slapped together a 10-minute review, that's absolutely fine because you're never going to be able to have so much storyline footage in
No,
that. And at the end of the day, it's a fair use thing, isn't it? If it's for journalistic purposes, they're not. They're people are shielded from companies coming in and saying you're using our game, you can't do that, we're going to sue you because it's for journalistic reasons,
mm,
journalistic review. Then they can't do anything. But then you wouldn't have 3 hours of that, would you? It'd just be a 10-minute kind of thing with a few.
exactly, yeah. And
Yeah,
I watch, plenty of reviews of games and things like that, and
yeah.
it annoys me when reviews don't have footage in them, and then it annoys me when it's just constant footage of the game, and it's not really explaining it. I do like a little bit more, better production quality out of the video.
Angry Joe's is actually a good. Angry Joe is a good example. His reviews are really good. If
Mm.
anybody hasn't seen him, you should go watch him. I think it's just literally Angry Joe, isn't it? That's
But
what it's
aren't they
called.
about half an hour long each?
They are very long. He turns it into a bit. He has a sketch at the beginning of him dressed up as a character from the game. I think at the end, and in between, we have like full screen footage of the game mixed in with him talking in front of like a blue screened in or chroma keyed in backdrop with the screen playing a little mock up TV or something, just to give it a
Mm.
bit of variety. But I like that. But I mean, if I'm just at home, I won't watch something like that. If I'm at work, um, and thankfully I've got a sort of a job where you can glance at another screen every now and then and have something on. They're good for that kind of scenario.
Mm.
If you just want a quick thing, you would go on IGN where they always plop a video review, don't they, at the top of it, which is basically the person reciting the text, pretty much, or
I
much
mean,
with the video. But yeah, so if that's not your cup of tea,
to me, a good review is about sort of 5 to 7 minutes long. It's
yeah,
something
I would agree
like,
with that. Yeah.
there's this guy on YouTube called Glenn Plant, and he does all these reviews of
Oh, I
N64
know the
games.
N64 dude.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's absolutely brilliant. He speaks really well. Gets in there, tells you all about the game. The history of it.
I like
He's
his
usually
reviews of the
clocked the game.
magazines. He even does that.
He does that, and he does ones about Japan as well, and something
Yeah.
like Classic Game Room as well, which probably most of the listeners on here
Oh
have
yeah,
watched
yeah.
a
He's
Classic Game.
massive.
Whether or not they've subscribed to him, but they've definitely gone. Oh, I want to see a review of Mario Brothers 3
Yeah.
review, and it'll come up Classic Game Room from a few years ago. He did one of Mario Brothers 3, for example, and there's
Yeah.
usually a little
He
bit of humour
sometimes
in there.
goes. He does. So he's gotten zanier as time's gone on, and now he's got things like Ethel, the intergalactic space
Well,
ninja, and all these. He's got a bit zany, so I don't watch him as much as I used to when it was a little bit more journalistic. He'll do the jokes during it, but as long as he just completely talks like ridiculously jokey and like
he's almost now. He's trying to. I
Mark,
don't
isn't it?
know,
Is his name? Mark,
yeah,
yeah,
Mark, and
yeah,
it's quite funny. Two things. Now he appears to be trying to sell his Kickstarters to get his comic books going, which it must
yeah,
be another interest of him. Which, to be
yeah,
honest
yeah,
with you, I've never read a comic book in my life. I've got no interest in ever reading a comic book. And then also, if
yeah.
you go back, let's say to the start of his channel, and then, well, actually, he used to do it back in sort of '99,
Yeah, it's
and
weird, isn't
very
it?
early,
Yeah,
and it was almost his reviews there were very, they were, there's a bit of swearing in it, a bit of let's drink some beer, and
it was just like down the pub, wasn't it, sort of thing?
he's a bit like down the pub. And then when he came back to YouTube in like '95 or something, when YouTube
It was just
started,
the game, wasn't it? The
he,
game, the
he, he
voiceover.
yeah, his voice was very, and this is the game. It was very straight, very sort of
It was still
controlled.
joke, but it
Well,
would not
yeah,
for the
with a
whole
few
thing, you
jokes.
know. Yeah.
And now his voice is almost, oh, and now we're going to do the and when Ethel the Ninja, it's
Yeah,
a
and
lot
he's in
more.
his intergalactic space arcade thing, which is like his garage that is converted into a big. It looks amazing, by the way, but he's got this
Yeah,
amazing, like arcade thing, with his mic, he sits there with his mic, and that is interspersed with game footage, but he's kind of just constantly doing like in jokes and stuff now, so I find him a bit hard to watch. I find
mm,
that he left YouTube for a little bit because he was annoyed at the content ID stuff that kind of went a bit mental a couple of years ago, but then he came
yeah,
back. Since he's
yeah.
come back, I haven't really watched him as much. Still
Well,
a good, great, really nice guy. Very funny when he's funny, but bit over the top for me now.
I'll be honest with you. He does a video a day. Let's say, or
Yeah,
one or two a day,
it's
something
full
like
time.
that.
It's his full time job. Yeah.
Exactly, and really good on him, and I hope he continues and never stops in them. But it's one of those things. If he does a review of an Atari 2600 game that I've never seen, right? Well, I'm not going to watch that. But then
Yeah, yeah.
if he does a review of a game that I'm actually quite interested in, I'll go, oh, what's his perspective on it? And it's always, I mean, I can't remember a game a little while ago he really didn't like, and he had a really sort of quite good go about it, and I was, oh yeah. And then it's quite funny when once he did a review of, he's done a few reviews of like football games, and he doesn't know, much about
Yeah.
doesn't really know much about football, who the players are, who's this guy,
Yeah.
he was asking questions like, oh, who's the guy on the front of the cover? That's Lionel Messi. Everyone knows
Yeah.
who Lionel Messi is, but then I might not know who
To be fair,
Brett
we're talking
Favre
about
is,
that.
or something like that,
Yeah, when most of the people that I watch on YouTube, the guys that care enough to make a YouTube video, they tend to be really big nerds, like us, I guess. But not
yeah.
many of them are into sports. It seems to be a thing, and are always into metal, like Metal Jesus Rocks and all that.
Oh,
I'm not
I'll
like
watch
them
him.
in
Yeah,
many respects. I'm not like them in many respects. I really like sports. I like sports video games.
mm,
So I'm not into like heavy metal or anything. So I'm not going to be, dressing like that or anything. So in some ways, I'm very different. But in other ways, obviously the game aspect, I'm completely down with that. But yeah,
I'm,
they don't tend. Most of them don't tend to like sports. So that is, I always find that a bit odd. But yeah, it's just the way they are.
But that's it. You don't really get too many sort of reviews, and I'm almost interested in when I get into a sports game. I actually like to go back and I go, oh, I wonder what FIFA 09 was like. Oh, how have they changed it to FIFA
Yeah.
15? And you almost see the progression and how they've made that better. Oh, they sped that up. They've got those old features. And it's interesting to see how games of these football games have evolved and how they're interpreted. And it's silly football. No, it's not football games, but I've got a Gaelic football game. I don't really know anything about Gaelic
It
football.
was a Gaelic football game. What was that on?
PlayStation 2. No,
Really? Wow.
yeah, PlayStation 2. I've got it. I can lend it to you at some point. But the point is,
Cool.
it was just made, and I can imagine what's it? There's probably about 5 million people in Ireland. So only a fraction of those would ever think, oh, I want to play a Gaelic football game.
Well, there was
And
that one that I shared to you, wasn't there? Which was like a handball challenge 14, and it was
yeah,
literally a game of handball, which most people probably wouldn't know anything about unless they saw an Olympics.
mm,
I didn't even think there was a video game about it, but I sort of stumbled across it on Amazon. It was like 50 quid. It was really
really,
expensive. But yeah, I guess because it's they don't make many copies, but it was a proper
mm,
360 game and PS3 and PC. So there's
yeah,
obviously a proper publisher and developer and everything. But yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I can't find anything about it on you. Maybe there is some videos on YouTube, but those things interest me.
I mean, talking about YouTube is going on to our next sort of subject. Is now probably about a week or two ago, YouTube is going to come out with a subscription service. Now,
Yeah,
this is going to be, in my opinion, it'll be $9.99 a month. You get to watch all the same videos you do now, but it's going to be no adverts. Now, for
yeah,
myself,
exactly.
obviously, um, I what was it? A year or two ago, I went to Singapore,
Yeah,
and I was in Singapore, and I had my iPad there, and I thought I'm going to watch it. I had a bit of spare time, connected to the Wi-Fi. I'm catch up with a few videos, and it was at this point I realised every video I watched had the same stupid Coca-Cola advert I had to watch for 30 seconds about a Singaporean family and how great Coke was. It brought the family together, and it was just, oh
yeah,
my, if I have to watch
Coca-Cola.
this advert again. And it
Yeah,
was just because it knew I was in Singapore, so it was making me watch this Singaporean advert about bloody Coca-Cola. And okay, I like Coca-Cola. I'm well aware of it. And I haven't got anything
but that's
against
just ridiculous.
Singaporean families, but having to watch the same advert actually drove me insane. But coming back to the UK, it's almost like we get a bit more of a mixture of adverts, and you can skip some of them. So to me, I don't really get too bothered by adverts on YouTube
Yeah, I'm not bothered
personally.
about that. I'll pay money for it. Basically, I'm not bothered about it. Yeah, I'm happy to just. A lot of them you can skip. Some of them you have to wait the whole 30 seconds, but I'm happy just to look away or do something else for 30 seconds. And
Yeah.
free, that's fine.
So
But
and the point is, I understand how these YouTubers, and it's always been a dream of mine to be a YouTuber and actually earn a living from it by just doing,
yeah,
talking about what I love,
yeah, yeah.
and making YouTube videos. So I actually understand that, these adverts are, if
Generate
these
money for these
adverts,
guys.
if these adverts weren't there would not be half as many good videos,
Yeah,
and people wouldn't go out of their way to film interesting things, to talk about stuff, to go out there and buy the £1,000 computer and the £500 camera, to really up their production quality. So they can go and do all these exciting sort of videos and things like that, and just take time, because I put together a few videos and then uploaded them to YouTube, and the point is that takes time for it all to render, for it all to do this, and that's
it
just,
does.
I mean, you've seen some of the quality of the Playnation games videos. We've got to the point now where we're just talking to the camera for 5 minutes and then
Yeah.
upload it, but
Well, it gets the point across. It's quick. You haven't got to take time out of your day. You've
exactly,
got
but
customers to deal with.
some of these guys, must spend 10 hours a week, and all they've got is like 500 subscribers, but they're actually
Yeah,
making quality, interesting videos that
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, this wouldn't be out of place on a feature on Games Master all those years
Exactly. Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
and it's certainly more in depth. So
yeah,
I personally, I probably won't subscribe.
yeah.
Um, but I think it is a good thing, and hopefully the content creators will get more money from it.
Yeah, I think it was inevitable because apparently Google don't make very much money off YouTube. The adverts and the model that they use doesn't make them enough money, so they were going to find
Really?
something else to make money. Yeah, so they were going to find some other way to do it, and that's the obvious thing is to get people that want to pay. And
Mm.
if it means that it helps, it will make more. There'll be more capacity for people to make a living out of YouTube. That's fine. Yeah, I don't really have a problem. I think it's a good idea. If there's more money to go around to support more channels and more channels
Mm.
to be successful, hell, maybe it might even open the door for us to expand at some stage when we're in the mood for it,
Mm.
because there'll be more, it'd be easier to do that. Then yeah, I'm all for it. But yeah, I won't subscribe. Like I said, I can endure the adverts as long as it doesn't get to the point where it's like ITV where you have 3 minutes worth of them every 15 minutes. But I don't think it'll
Yeah.
get to that. So yeah,
No. Same here, and I would I wouldn't subscribe at the moment. I think it might have to be. They would almost have to add other things into the deal.
yeah,
For example, you
streaming
know,
videos and stuff, and
yeah,
and
you
film.
get maybe get 4K, or and I hope there isn't going to be something like, oh, if you're a paid subscriber, you'll get to see videos 24 hours before other people. Um,
Yeah. If they gave you
because
things like the music service that Google do, if they gave you a bit of that, and then they let you stream a couple of Hollywood films as well, a
mm,
month or something, then if they started chucking that at you, that'd be pretty cool.
yeah, because I'd like to see, because what I don't know if they still do it, but Channel 4 used to have a lot of its old back catalogue.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. It's behind a
I,
paywall now, though, I think, isn't it,
yeah,
on
I'll
YouTube?
be honest with you, I use it on my iPad at the moment, so I don't really use the actual web version of YouTube at all, really. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so I don't really go looking for that type of stuff. But I'd like to see a lot more. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but a lot more sort of pay, not pay TV, but if you're subscribing to it, it's almost going to be a Netflix type service.
like an
You,
archive of my old
yeah,
TV
you
stuff.
can
Yeah,
see back episodes of Red Dwarf, or loads of stuff like that. That whatever you
yeah,
want to
yeah,
see, really, and you can find it all on there. And I mean that type of stuff, sort of upping the quality of programming, and all that was sort of behind the YouTube Plus. But if you want to stick with all the sort of the current um, bits and pieces, videos by content creators, then stick with that, and don't get the keep on having the advertising, really.
yeah,
That,
pretty much.
yeah.
I think that's yeah, like I said, I think it's a good idea if it means more money, but yeah, if they're going to start getting serious about that, they should throw a bit more.
Mm,
I think you do have access to the music. I think it will be part of that music
mm.
service. But yeah, you need to be if they're going to start charging, and getting serious about it. I think they should throw a few more things in, like maybe renting a movie, allowing you to rent a movie for free or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I think the Netflix service is absolutely brilliant, and there's so much good content on there. Loads of stuff more stuff will come on every week or every couple of weeks and whatnot. But
yeah.
one note about Netflix is they've really got to sort out their security. Maybe I've done something wrong, I don't know. But with my Netflix account, another profile just suddenly appeared on there. So
Oh, nice.
I thought, hang on, who's Brenda, or whatever the name was. So I phoned up Netflix, got through to some guy in America, and he said, oh, I've reset your passwords, I've done this, I've done that. And then another name did appear after he'd done that. So I think I changed my password again and logged out all of the application, or the application. So if he had
Yeah,
logged on
yeah.
to through his PlayStation 3, I know I haven't got it on my PlayStation 3. So I logged out of
Right.
all
Yeah.
the things and then logged back in, obviously with the new password. But I actually made the point of changing because his name was Brent. So I don't.
Is it David Brent?
You know, I actually renamed him David Duck Sucker, but it rhymes with that.
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
So just to sort of get to the point of actually, Brent, I'm paying for this Netflix. You're not getting it all for free, mate. So
Yeah.
you go and pay for it
Right.
as well. And I thought that was fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. There's a lot of this with various services getting their thingies, their like security hacked and nicking people's details, which is
I,
not very
I,
reassuring, is it?
I know. So anyway, that moves swiftly on to
Yes.
the Japanese game charts. Now, I don't know.
Good old Japanese game charts.
Do you read MCV?
I do, yes.
Well, each week they come out with, here are the Japanese game charts and of games and of hardware. Now, with these, I'm always sort of fascinated. Is why do people in Japan like completely different games to people in the West? No, in fact, the rest of the world,
Yeah,
because
pretty much. Yeah.
they've got what was it? Came out this week in Japan. It was number 2 was Dying Light, which is a really good first-person shooter, parkour type, Left 4 Dead, type action game. Got really good reviews. Okay, that sold 30,000 copies. That's a pretty decent amount for Japan, but came in at number 1, selling 60,000 copies. Was a game called Style Sweethearts Fashion Show for the 3DS, and that sold twice the amount of copies as so. And if you look down the charts, it's I can recognise 4 or 5 games there. Obviously, you got your Bloodborne, Dying Light. There was a Buddy Fight one, and I only know that because we stocked the card game in the shop. But the other games are just no idea what they are. Absolutely no idea. And it's just FIFA translated into something completely Japanese. No, they're completely sort of random games, and I just don't understand why the Japanese culture have such a different type of games they like.
Yeah, it's a few things, really, isn't it? I mean, I couldn't put my finger on one thing, but they have a different video game like history and culture to us. Whereas there was the big crash in America that happened with the Atari 2600 game of shovelware, and the shovelware kind of killed it, and then it ruined the whole game industry for sort of 3 or 4 years till the NES. Japan didn't have any of that. It kind of had arcades, and then Pac-Man took off, and Space Invaders probably before that. Arcades still exist that are quite healthy these days there, especially with the fighting games like Virtua Fighter and Dead or Alive, which don't get an arcade release really over here at all. At least they get one over there. But yeah, I think the games that come out over there, they didn't have a video game crash, so Nintendo had a market to themselves. A Japanese company making Japanese games for Japanese people, so they make games that resonate with their culture and their interests. The big guys like Namco and Koei and Tecmo are the same thing now, I think. They're all Japanese companies, so they know the culture and they can make games that appeal to them. And even the consoles themselves, the Western developed systems often have always failed in Japan. The biggest one being the Xbox, of course.
Oh my God! Well, do you know what that translates into Japanese? Do you know?
Probably like knob or something stupid, isn't it?
No.
Isn't X like an evil symbol to them or something?
Well, X is their symbol for no. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you get a Japanese PSP, they have the X and the 0 and the circle button are the opposite. They're actually in the same place, but
the menus in the games, swap them.
Exactly. a circle for yes, forward, and it's X for no. So
Whereas
then
when it's in
Microsoft
the UK, those keys are bound to X is okay, and
X is
circles no or
okay,
something.
yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite way round. And sometimes when we get Japanese PSPs traded in the shop, you know, it's such a nightmare because people always bring them back going, I can't make the game start. And you can only press circle here, not X.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's always a little bit frustrating. So having the machine is basically called the no box.
Is it going to appeal to people?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
it's
it's also like
the back box.
yeah, but it's also like you know historically like I don't think Atari really made much of a dent. You know that was obviously American. Uh, Various other like you know I guess you could
What about Sega?
anyone to develop a console.
What about Sega? That's an American company.
Sega's a funny one because it was founded by an American chap called David Rosen, who was
Yeah.
in Japan when he founded them because it was originally called
Trevor, I was
Service
trying to
Games.
throw you off then. I was trying to throw you off, and you
I know
knew,
I'm a Sega fanboy, dude.
and you knew all about it. So
You can't. I'm a Sega
tell us the
fanboy.
story. Tell us the story.
Oh, it's probably really boring, but yeah. So this chap David Rose, an American dude, who's in the army. He ended up in Japan, stationed there, and he made a company called Service Games, which imported pinball machines and electromagnetic kind of arcade machines, sort of pre-Pong kind of stuff, over to Japan for service personnel, hence Service Games, to play when they're stationed in Japan, and that kind of developed. Got bigger and bigger until he started making like their own arcade machines based in Japan. So they've always been basically a Japanese company founded by an American. They never really they started in Japan, and then eventually they got into video games, and that took off. And they were there at the very beginning. When they were getting into video games, the Service Games, they took the SE and the GA from Service Games, put them together, and you get Sega. And that's how the name Sega came from. Then eventually they started making their first console, which is the SG-1000, which is basically what is to us is the Sega Master System. They made
I think the
units as well and stuff.
The SG-1000 is the SG-1000 Mark III is the Master System.
Yeah, the Sega, and it became eventually got just the Sega Mark III in Japan. Yeah. But they were all kind of just upgrades of the 1000. I think they just put in some extra chips, and they just made iterations of it, which Sega are kind of famous for because they rebuild the crap out of everything they've ever brought out. But yeah, so that's what it was, and that became the Master System. But in Japan, Sega were never really successful. Ironically, the Saturn was about their most successful console. Which it held its own. It held its own pretty well in Japan. It was. I think it was. The N64 wasn't that much of a success in Japan. I think it might have just about beat the Sega Saturn. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody that's hearing this can also put that in the comments. But yeah. Whereas the Mega Drive was a complete failure. It was a massive success everywhere else, but Japan it did bugger all. The Master System, the Sega Mark III, was alright, but nothing compared to the Famicom. It got annihilated, and the PC Engine as well, which also annihilated it. The Dreamcast was a bit of a failure, sold very poorly. I
thought that did well in Japan, though.
Initially, it did, but it developed its own kind of cult following, which meant it lived on a lot longer there than it did anywhere else. But compared to the numbers of elsewhere in the world, it didn't do very well. I mean, I know it sold about 10 million units, but I don't know how many of those were in Japan. Most of those would be in the USA, I think. But it sold very well initially.
I was going to say, I think looking at the game charts, and they also have the hardware charts on there, and it seems as if in Japan there's a lot more emphasis on the portable gaming than there is in the West, because I think in Japan families live in much smaller housing than they certainly do in America, and it's probably similar, or if not a little bit smaller than what they live in Europe. So
that's right.
So a lot of the kids they've grown up with Game Boys, Game Boy Advances, DS's, PSPs, and in quite often in Japan, the best-selling machine is the PlayStation Vita. Now, to us over here, I love the Vita. It's a great machine, but I would be very surprised if that came top of the sales charts for at least 1 week over here. And
well, over here and in the States, the Vita's dead. It's pretty much dead. If it's not dead, it's on life support. Because I can't even remember the latest game that's come out for it.
Well, the problem with the Vita is every box game that comes out is called something Japanese RPG, graphic novel.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just not the games really that people want to be playing.
They are making the AAA
in the West.
Yeah, there was the only real AAA games that have come out were the games that came out in that first 18 months, wasn't it? There was a Call of Duty game, which was pretty crap, but it came out anyway. There was a Killzone, there was Uncharted, Resistance, and FIFA. Well, I think they're still carrying on making FIFAs, but they're not really developing the engine. It's just the FIFA 11 with updated kits. Just Sony developed games. Though I don't think they're going to get another Uncharted. But yeah, since that first 18 months, it's just died completely. Very much like the Wii U.
Yeah, I still got hope for the Wii U, and I still like the Vita. But
there's still games coming through, isn't there? But as you say, the only games that are really being made are these Japanese marketed games that originated in Japan. They're the only games that are really being made now. So the only games that we're going to get are just conversions of them, I guess, just to make a kind of a buck out of the Vita. But yeah, in Japan it's still pretty popular.
I think it's the third best. Last week it was the third best-selling one behind the PS4, the new 3DS, and then I think it was the Vita, and then the Wii U. So to me, there seems a lot more of a culture of sitting down with a portable system and playing that, and that's what they've sort of grown up with because I guess space is a premium, so you can't have your console underneath the TV playing all the games and things like that because that's the whole family. We want to watch the news and all other bits and pieces.
I can't remember the last Vita game I played. It might have been Dead or Alive 5 Plus. I think that was the last game, which was actually quite good on the Vita.
Yeah.
That was the last one I played. Maybe the Uncharted Golden Abyss. I think that's Dead or Alive. That would have been over a year and a half ago. I don't know if I've hardly touched it since then. I think I just fire up FIFA on it if I'm on a long trip somewhere because it's kind of an easy game just to quickly have a go on. Apart from that, it never gets used now. I'm going to hang on to it because it's just, it's part of my collection, but it very rarely gets used now. But it's a shame because it was a good system, but it's too expensive, and the games are too expensive to develop for. When it's to make a mobile phone game that have a far greater audience, or a 3DS game which have a far greater audience. So yeah, it's kind of screwed, unfortunately, from the beginning almost.
Okay, that moves in. Oh, breaking news! Hold the press.
Yeah.
Someone
press is being held.
Yeah. Someone dropped a bomb. Stuart, that's me. I'm getting a gaming. I'm getting a gaming PC.
Oh, can you believe that? The same Stuart McNeill that was maybe a bit cynical of
what was that,
gaming
on
a PC.
What was that post you put in?
Mr. Fighting games never come out on PC. And I like to sort of tell you, well, they kind of do, but but now you've seen the light.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I just
breaking you down.
I just thought, I think the time's right to get myself a PC and then set that up with the TV in the living room through the old HDMI, and I'll be honest,
half 360 pad, you're done.
Yeah, but in all honesty, 90% of it will probably be streaming YouTube. It will probably be for doing the spreadsheets for the shop.
Well, I think what
updating
happened
iTunes, but there will be a little
yeah.
bit of gaming involved. But I still stick by my guns that I think gaming is best on the consoles, but I am interested to see, sort of how gaming's evolved on the PC, really, because I always used to be a PC gamer, sort of back in the day. I remember my Pentium 120 with 64 or 16 megabytes of RAM and all these bits and bobs, and I used to love playing sort of a different type of game. I don't really play anymore, and I think that's part of me. It's what I'm looking forward to getting back into, playing things like sort of Settlers and Age of Empires and just games like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few myths that you'll probably find that you might have in your mind a little bit that will probably get dispelled, and they're certainly with me. One is people that game on PC, all they play is Dota and League of Legends, and and like City Skylines. That's bollocks. I play the last bunch of games I played, about NBA 2K15, Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes. Grand Theft Auto 5 has just come out. I've been playing that. Amazing Spider-Man 2. I just bought recently Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. So all these quote-unquote console-style games, well, they've always existed on PC. You can play, all those to your heart's content. The other one is, you have to be hunched over a keyboard and a mouse at a desk in a man cave to play your games, and you can't even work. You have to use a keyboard and a mouse. You can't use anything else. That's crap as well. I mean, now you can just plug it into your telly. It has the same connections that a console has, more in fact. You can have it sat next to your telly, just like next to your Xbox or your PS4. You get a wireless controller. It could be an Xbox 360 controller. The driver's built in. You haven't got to hack anything to get it working. It just works. So you can sit right on your couch and play with just a controller. Pretty much 99% of PC games have controller support, so you can navigate through the menus in the game, and you can play the game without even touching your keyboard and your mouse. You've got the Steam boxes, will have Steam OS on them, so you can literally constantly be using a controller. The Alienware Alpha, which is another sort of semi-Steam box type thing, has an interface where you never have to touch a keyboard and a mouse. So yeah, also you get most games that come out on console now come out on PC, and it's actually getting a lot better. We got Dead or Alive 5 only a few months ago. The first time a Dead or Alive's been out on the PC. Also, one that just got announced. Exciting for me, although most people will be like, so what? WWE 2K15 is coming out on PC in a matter of weeks. They've said in the press release. So that I'm really looking forward to. And all the DLC is going to be free, included, which has annoyed some people on consoles that had to pay for that. But hey, and also obviously, online gaming is free. You don't have to pay any subscription service or anything like that. Games are cheaper. You got Steam. You can still go into a shop. Everyone thinks, oh, you got to download them all digitally. You can't. They don't make discs. They don't make discs. Well, yeah, you can buy physical copies of games. It's true, a lot of games never come out on a disc now. But most of the big ones still do. You'll still be able to get FIFA on a disc. Grand Theft Auto 5 just came out. I mean, it was on 7 DVDs. Just don't really understand why they had to do that. But you can buy that. You can buy that in a physical copy of that. So yeah, that's still there. You can download obviously through Steam, and they do really cheap prices. The sales are really insane. Like the last game I got was a GTA San Andreas for £2.
Really?
On Steam. I know it's an old game, but that's still pretty good even for an old game. I think, but I got Need for Speed Rivals for like £6. Titanfall I got for a tenner. This is all from Origin, the EA online store, which is actually very good. A lot of people used to hate it, but it's actually quite good. Don't get FIFA from them though. It's £50.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you can go on Amazon. Obviously, I don't think you sell PC games, so I hope I won't take sales away from you. But yeah, get it off Amazon for £30. Don't bother getting it off Origin because they really charge through the backside. Battlefield 4 is like £8 on there at the moment as well. So yeah, it's kind of hard to argue against it now. All the sort of traditional myths that people have are pretty much non-existent now. And also, there's things that you can never have on a console, like there's mods. You know, I mean, when WWE 2K15 comes out, I'm fully expecting someone to have Optimus Prime modded into it at some stage, so like Hulk Hogan the Optimus Prime. GTA 5 is going to have mods, of course. So yeah, you'll discover all of this stuff. And what I think will happen is you'll start buying the multi-plats. You'll get them on your PC because they'll look better.
I don't know if I will. I think still most of my gaming will be done on the PS4.
If I put it this way to you, so this is an example of a random game. There's a game you might not want to get ever, but let's say there's Call of Duty's come out and it's amazing. Everyone has to get it. You've got an option. You've got a PS4. So would you get the PC version, which would be the most advanced version of it? You better play online for free, and it will look a lot better. And it'll probably be about £10 less. Or will you get it on PS4? You're holding both boxes in your hand.
I would. I'll tell you what I'd do.
And your PC can run it really well because it will do with with your budget and your thoughts.
Yeah, I would get it on the PS4, and I'll tell you why. Because I would want to use a controller.
Which you can do on a PC.
I know, but the problem is, players with a mouse and keyboard would have an advantage over me.
You get matched up with people that use controllers. They don't. It knows that you're using a controller, so it matches you up with other people that are using a controller.
Well, I would just be concerned that I wouldn't be as good at the game on the PC.
Right. Okay. Well, like I said, I don't think it would be an issue because it would match you with other people that are using controllers. It literally says trying to find 360 controller players, so that negates. GTA Online does it as well. Although in saying that, keyboard and mouse isn't quite as effective as it is in an FPS. But yeah, it does try and match you with people. The only issue that I think most people would have in that scenario where you've got two copies of the game in your hand and you can get one or the other because you've got a PC and you've got a PS4. The only issue I think is if you've got all your mates on the PS4 and you play with them all the time. That would be, I would understand if someone said, well, I'm going to get the PS4 one, I'll pay the extra £10 and it won't look quite as good, but I'll be playing with my mates. That's understandable. There's not really an argument against that. You can't persuade them all to drop £400 on a plus on a gaming PC, but I personally think that if multi-plats, I think you'll start to tend to buy them on PC. I mean, the last one that I got, there's one I want to get Mortal Kombat 10 or X. I think is that what they're actually calling it, isn't it? I'm going to get it on PC just because it's 22 quid as opposed to, well, I guess 40, isn't it? As the going rate these days, and it'll be better. So yeah, I think you'll find that will be the case once you've had a little play around and maybe got a few games up and running on it off Steam or or something.
Yeah. I think there is some truth there, but I'm just thinking I do like my console gaming. I like how simple it is, and I know we're going to say it is simple on the PC, but I think more what I'm getting this PC for is sort of streaming, is for YouTube, just doing a lot of that type of stuff which I've neglected, and the type of games that you can't really get on Xboxes, like City Skyline, or there's lots of games like that. And then I will get a couple of obviously sort of first-person shooters and stuff like that. But I think I'll still stick with those on the PC. I might be saying something different in 9 months or something like that.
We'll see how you're getting on as time goes by. Yeah.
Well, did you hear the news in America? GameStop are now doing retro.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this because this. I mean, not now. It doesn't affect you, but let's say that. Let's say it was Game, because there isn't a physical GameStop. I don't think is there in the UK? There is a UK GameStop website, but there's not physical shops. But let's say if games started doing this, how would you feel about it if they started
Well,
selling retro consoles?
I don't want to sound arrogant, but I
Yeah,
don't think I'll be too bothered because it's one of the things where you've got to get it right, and you know, and it's like when Tesco's were doing trade-ins.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it
They're still
becomes
doing it.
oh well.
Well, they
Do they? I don't see
I
any.
can't remember seeing them like recently. I think Asda do. I've been into Asda a few times lately, and they seem to have second-hand games, but I don't think Tesco's do it anymore.
I know, but the
Could be
point
wrong.
is, whenever I went into Tesco's, whenever I went into Asda's, the games were selling for completely the wrong price. The
Yeah,
staff did not have a clue.
yeah. There's
You've
no
got to,
passion.
yeah, there's no passion, but you've got to have. It's a constantly changing market, and
Yeah, yeah,
you've got to be on the ball of all your prices. And this is just your current gen stuff at the moment. When it comes to retro, you've got to know what For example, what is a Super Nintendo and what is a Mega Drive. Now, I had a few kids came in on Saturday, and they brought up to the counter. Now, for me, this isn't a joke. They brought up FIFA. What system is this for? And they're about 16, 17 years old. I said, that's for the
it's
Mega
crazy.
Drive. And they said, oh, what's that? So I showed them one, and they hadn't even recognised what a Mega Drive looks like. So, okay, I'm sure Gamer got great staff who could surely turn their hand to it,
You can imagine
but
like a 20-year-old sort of like generic game employee might not.
yeah,
Well, like I said in the last episode, I think there are kids that are now sort of in their mid-teens that this is their first generational transition. They were maybe
yeah,
they would have been like maybe 5 or 6 when the 360 came out, so they
mm,
were barely old enough to really want to play a game. And now they're 10 years later, they'll be 15, 14, 15. This will be the first time they've experienced the idea of an old console being retired and a new one coming in.
mm.
So yeah, so fast forward a few more years, and you're talking like a 20-year-old working in game. They would never have been around for Super Nintendo.
Exactly. So
It would have
knowing the
been knackers.
pricing of how much you have to give, how much you have to sell, it's not as easy as you think it could be. And people, I think I'm worried that GameStop are just going to be, people are going to bring in, Super Nintendos, we'll buy them in for a tenner and sell them for 30 quid. We're going to make
Yeah,
loads of money. Well, it doesn't really happen like that. You've got to give people decent amounts of money for it to turn over to get the stuff in,
yeah.
but then you can't give them too much, or the difference between what you buy it in and what you sell it for has got to be a fair amount.
And
And
it's only going to be like enthusiasts, surely, that are people like us that are going to want to buy
mm,
that stuff. I mean, casual people that come in and buy your Call of Duty and your FIFAs every year, and that's the
mm,
only games they play, which is a huge amount of people.
mm,
They're not going to want to. I don't want to sort of get some obscure Super Nintendo scrolling beat 'em up.
yeah.
They would know what scrolling beat 'em was if it hit him in the face if you pardon the pun. It's not going to they're not going to be able to get a critical sort of mass, are they? It's going to be the people that you experience on a daily basis, presumably.
Mm,
People that are real knowledgeable, enthusiastic people that are into retro games, and
yeah.
it's a hobby.
But I'll be probably what I'd worry about GameStop is that people go in there and they'll really just flog off all the stuff that isn't really that sought after, and to GameStop. So you go in there and you go, okay, they got a retro section, but the quality of the stuff in there
They'll have
won't be
50
that.
copies of FIFA '95, and yeah,
Exactly, yeah. They won't have a good quality of stuff. The staff won't really know quite what they're talking about. The
there
I
won't
think
be
they're
like
just you know
Pilot Wings or Final Fight or sort of like Kirby or all these games that people Zelda Link to the Past. They might have the odd copy, but but I think they will probably jack the price up on those anyway. So I wouldn't
Yeah,
necessarily call the eBay like bubble price arms race sort of thing. It might not do that because they'll be clever and they'll be switched on to that, you know.
because I don't quite understand GameStop in the UK in America because they're doing games. They also they buy and sell iPhones and phones and iPods and iPads, and then they're
Basically,
doing
CEX without
they're
all the
doing all the
games, yeah.
digital market,
Yeah,
and and now they want to do all retro stuff. It's almost as if you can, right, guys, you can be good at one thing, you can be okay at a few things. If you do a lot of things, you're just going to be rubbish. And
exactly, yeah.
you
Well, I think
can't.
Game Station were brilliant when before Game absorbed them and kind of
Mm,
completely got rid of them. Game Station was great because that
mm.
was basically well, it was Playnation Games, wasn't it? But a
Well,
franchise all over the country where
yeah,
they
and
had
I
really
used to
old
love
stuff.
the old game station shops
I
because they
prefer it to
were.
Game any day.
Oh yeah, you went in there and they had a retro section which was always really good,
Yeah,
and okay, they had all the current gen stuff. There was a bit more of an edgy feel in the shop. You used to know that the
the
staff
staff
knew their,
were really knew their stuff. Yeah, they were fans and they
you
were
know,
retro gamers. Yeah,
it was, and Dan, my business partner in the shop, he used to
yeah.
work in Game Station, and people still come in and oh, Dan from Game Station, and he
Yeah, and you'd be
generated a
looking at the
lot of
cabinet.
goodwill.
They put all the real good shit in a cabinet, and then you'd be sat there, you'd be stood there looking at it, and then one of them would rock up to you, and you'd be like, "Hey, remember this like amazing Game Gear game, Sonic like drift racing?" And you'd be there for half an hour chatting to them about it, and it'd be good. The prices would be good. It might be £4 or something. So
Yeah.
you'd be happy to grab it, straight then and there.
Mm.
And this was when did it actually? It was about 2009, 2010. I think it actually completely vanished because there was one in
Oh, I
Woolwich where I
don't.
used to live
Yeah.
in 2008 and 2009. So I think it was about 2010, yeah, when they. But I would go there. That would be my first shop that I would go to for games. Would be Game Station because
Mm.
it had everything that I would want. Now it'd be obviously it would be you guys are the only retro shop in London as we know.
The only one that
The
there is.
only
Oh
one
no,
there.
I'm not aware of any others.
Well, I think there isn't any others. Why it's not even worth researching it, is it? Don't
No,
research
no,
it.
no. Don't
Don't
research
go
it.
on
Don't.
Google. Just
No,
this is
don't.
it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Basically.
like, you guys are basically like Game Station now, which is great because we need these shops. But yeah, I don't think it will be like that if Game ever started, doing because that's who it'd be, isn't it?
I mean,
They're the GameStop of the UK.
I personally, I don't think they would. They just haven't got the. They're doing their Gametronic stores,
Yeah,
where
I
it's
think it'll be on. If
basically,
they do, it'll be
look,
online, won't it? It'll just be online. They won't don't do it in the shops.
and well, we'll just see how it goes, and
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen in the UK. It would be very,
At best,
you
it'll be
know,
online, and that'll be it. You
mm,
won't be seeing them in game shops. You won't see Super Nintendos in the window.
no.
Not at all.
Okay, got some questions. Actually, these were your ideas for these questions. Not
Well,
saying that as in
we've hit an hour, I think, haven't we? So I'll tell you what, we'll do one of them, shall we? And
we
then we'll
do
leave the other
one.
one for next time.
Okay, which one shall I do?
The
The one that
Sega one I
says,
was quite fond of. I was quite fond of
okay,
Sega.
Sega.
Yeah.
If you were in charge of Sega, what's its service games around 1991 to 95, what would
Yeah.
you have done differently? Okay,
So the
well,
reason I picked that era was because that's kind of when they're at the top of their game at the beginning of that sort of 4 years that I've picked out.
mm,
But in that during that period is when they really started screwing things up for themselves, and it ultimately led to their demise as
yeah.
a console manufacturer. So that's why I think if you're in charge, what would you do differently, knowing what happened in reality happened? So what would you do?
Well, I think the obvious thing is I would have had the Mega Drive.
Yeah,
Okay,
which you're doing fine.
I would. This might be a bit controversial. I would have had the Mega CD. I
I
think
agree with that.
that
Yeah,
was a success.
very
Ma
underrated. Very
Yeah,
underrated.
maybe not quite at the number of games. Um,
Yeah,
so I would have had those. Obviously, the 32X. was just something that's, hang on, we've made a mistake here.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's not try. They shouldn't have brought that out. Basically, it wasn't.
For sure.
No, there's nothing good about it. They shouldn't have brought it out, but they shouldn't have. I think the next stage is where the Sega Saturn came out. They brought that out too early. I think having the two processors and making it a 2D powerhouse was misinterpreting how the games market was going.
It's weird, isn't it? Because Sega basically started the 3D like gaming arms race. They released Virtua Racing, which was amazing, and that will then inspire, you know, Ken Kutaragi, the PlayStation dude, to make the PlayStation the 3D powerhouse it was. Yet Sega went the other way, even though they started it. It's kind of silly. Yeah.
But I'm saying, I personally like the fact that the Saturn is really good at 2D games. But I'm putting my hat on of being the financial director of Sega between 91 and 95, and they shouldn't have rushed it out as quickly as they had done, and they should have still given it better 3D processing. However that would have been done, I can't say. I know it had two processors. So I think the two processors worked out slightly more powerful than PlayStation's one processor. But the point is, it was very hard to use, and so on. So I would have gone down the one processor route. I would have made the console a little bit more, not have the onboard memory. That was a rubbish idea. It should have had. It should have had the memory cards.
Like the PlayStation.
Yeah, like the PlayStation. I don't want to go on about I didn't like the boxes much. That's by the by, really.
Horrendous.
Yeah, that doesn't really make any difference. But
they made slightly better ones later on, but yeah, the first ones were just like, considering they made the Mega Drive boxes, which we talked about before, were really good. Like these cardboard awful ones.
Exactly. So I think I would have got the Saturn launch, and obviously the 32X should not have come out.
Been released. Yeah.
Because what was I saw a video about Doom the other day on the 32X, and it didn't even look that good.
It's actually all right. It had a couple of. To be fair, the 32X, although it definitely should have happened. In hindsight, if you could travel back in time, you would tell Sega not to do it. But it got a really good version of Virtua Fighter, which was played better than the Saturn one, strangely. Even though it looked worse and it sounded worse, it played more like the arcade version. You got a good version of Virtua Racing, basically because it had a bit more power, so it was better than the Mega Drive one. And Doom was actually all right, but it was played in a very small window, at like a postage stamp size, and it had terrible sound. I actually think the Super Nintendo version is better, which a lot of people think is gets a lot of bad press, but it's actually all right. It's playable. It's okay. I quite enjoy it. But if you could say that the Super Nintendo version is better than the 32X, there's obviously something wrong, isn't there? Not enough to justify it.
Another thing. I think they came out with the Nomads. They probably shouldn't have wasted their time doing that.
Yeah, those silly little experimenty things that they would come out with.
Yeah, the Multi-Mega. I did like the Multi-Mega.
Yeah,
and I think, to be honest with you, they should not have brought out the Mega Drive add-on, because all these add-ons. Who wants an add-on? You just want a new console. So if the Multi-Mega came out instead of the Mega, instead of the Mega CD, it would have been, here's a new console, guys. It can play videos. It can do this. It can do that, and you can play your old games on it. Now, to me, I'd have gone, oh yeah, that's really good, ain't it? I can do all of the new stuff, and I can still play my old catalogue of games on there.
The Multi-Mega is the best Mega Drive. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have one.
Have you got one?
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah, it wasn't cheap, but I got
No.
one. I mean, when it came out, it was about 400 bloody quid or something, wasn't it? It was something around that.
Yeah.
But it's just beautiful. It's like it's tiny. Well, it's for a portable CD player. It'll be huge, but it's almost the
Yeah.
same size as a portable CD player of like the mid 90s. But
Mm.
you've got a Mega CD and you've got a Mega Drive all in one. It's absolutely tiny. I don't think there's a console that's it kind of compares to in terms of
No.
size now that you can think of. But yeah, it does everything. You can pop a 32X in it, but it kind of makes it sort of it kind of makes it sort of sit back on its back end because it weighs it down from the back.
Mm.
But
And to be honest,
it's the best
say
one.
another point, talking about the
Yeah,
32X,
you have them in the
is that,
shop. Have you ever had them in the shop, by the way? The
what's
multi-mega.
that?
The multi-mega. Do you ever get them
Yeah, yeah,
in
we've had a
shops?
couple. We've had a
They go
couple.
quick.
They do. I've always tended to have it, but it's one of those things. I'd rather sell it in the shop. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but it's actually the Mega CD. I never thought personally that the Mega CD was that much of a jump in performance. It was almost like it's the it is how do you put it?
Well, I always thought that. I mean, what I would change. I mean, this is kind of my thoughts on that era. The first thing would be, the same as you. I would have still brought out the Mega CD because
Hmm.
it's actually a really underrated system, and it was actually quite good. And I really like the Mega CD, but I would have changed a few things about it because the theory behind it would be to give it at least equal graphics abilities as the SNES
Hmm.
in terms of like the sprite scanning, which it actually did do. It did do that. The Mega CD set and an extra. It basically made the Mega Drive a dual CPU kind of thingy, almost like a
Hmm.
dual core chip now, because it had another processor in it,
Hmm.
a Motorola chip, and it could do 3D sprite scaly stuff. I think it could do it a bit better than the SNES, I think, but it didn't give it any more colours. That was the thing that was kind of I thought they missed the trick on a little bit. I think if it was me, I would have said to the engineers, "Can you at least give it a similar color palette to the Mega Drive?" I know it
Hmm.
seems like to someone that maybe doesn't know about that era or grew up in that era, like why would colors be important? But in those days when games are still in the very cartoony kind of phase because that's what the processors could produce onto a screen in those days. There was a big difference between 256 colors on screen that the Mega Drive can do, the SNES can do, sorry, and the 64 on screen at once that the Mega Drive could do. I mean, the best example is Mortal Kombat 2. Play the Super Nintendo version and then play the Mega Drive version. There's like night and day. And it's mainly because of the colours. There
Hmm.
are other things like the sound isn't as good on the Mega Drive and all that stuff, but it's the colours that really does it. Some games, the team that made whatever game you're playing, if they were very clever, they could negate the colour issue. Like Sonic the Hedgehog, but it looks like there's like hundreds of colours on the screen on those games.
Hmm.
There isn't, but they use some programming tricks to get around that. But I would have had that. So when you pop the Mega CD on the Mega Drive, it also boosts up the colours.
Hmm.
But he didn't do that. But I would have kept the Mega CD and just had that as the only accessory that ever comes out for the Mega
Hmm.
Drive.
Well,
You probably couldn't do
I
much about the price in those days because CD technology was expensive. CD-ROMs are expensive,
hmm.
but just have that as the only accessory, and that will kind of give it a bit of extra lifespan until you bring out your Saturn.
But if you know, if money wasn't an object, I would have brought out the multi mega first.
Yeah,
No, not these silly add-ons, but actually sort of almost up the processor. So it was kind of the CD games were coming out were actually as good as 32X games.
yeah.
But that's in an ideal world with everything's perfect and
I probably wouldn't
money's
have
no
done that.
object and
I probably wouldn't have done that because I think it would have been very expensive to bring out a multi-mega in sort of '92, and I think that
yeah,
probably would
no,
have killed. Maybe you would do it then, but you would also have the add-on as well. So if
mm,
someone's already got a Mega Drive, they can just play the. I don't even know how much it was. It was about 250 quid, wasn't it, for a Mega CD? I think on its own,
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
which is a lot of money to ask your parents to get for an accessory. Yeah. So you probably couldn't do much about the price because, like I said, it was very expensive to have any kind of CD technology. Even just a CD player was expensive in those
Mm,
days. So yeah, but yeah, I'll probably have. I wouldn't have a Mega. There'll be no 32X because it would be pointless. Maybe I would push that SVP chip that was put in Virtua Racing on the Mega Drive that
Oh yeah,
helped to
yeah.
do kind of polygons. I mean, it looks laughable now compared to what you can do with polygons now. But when the SNES had Star Wing or Star Fox to Americans and Race FX and all those Super FX chip games, I think if Sega used the SVP chip to be the Sega equivalent of that, which it looked like were going to do, but it was only ever used in Virtua Racing. Maybe that if they focused on that as opposed to using an add-on like the 32X, I think that would have been a better way of doing it. Because Nintendo were considering making an actual Super FX chip add-on, so you'd buy the add-on and then you would just get a regular cartridge with the game that would look for the Super FX chip and it will boost up the graphics. So it means you didn't have to pay an extra 20 quid for the game with the chip inside it. You just get the chip separately, kind of like the expansion pack on the N64.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
But I actually think what they did was correct. I think it was better to have it in the cartridges than have a separate thing because you're kind of guaranteeing that you don't know how many people are going to buy the separate unit. So does that mean is it worth us making a game for it if no one's going to be getting it? So yeah, it was probably the better option. But yeah, I would have that SVP chip be you have more games that made use of it. Maybe you could make a sort of a toned down Virtual Fighter running on a Mega Drive with that chip inside it and stuff. And obviously the Saturn, I would certainly make it cheaper because it was £400 was way too much, especially when it was like a couple of months before the PlayStation came out, which is 100 quid less and more powerful.
Exactly, yeah, and
it came out too early. Also, the games weren't finished. You got a really glitchy Daytona. You got a glitchy Virtual Fighter. So if they had that couple extra months.
Another thing we haven't really talked about is actually PlayStation's marketing, because PlayStation, it was almost Sega came out and here's a new console. We got this game. We're just going to do things the way we've always done them, with a few adverts and whatever. But PlayStation came out and the games they had, even though it was a multi-plat, they had like Wipeout, Destruction Derby, again that was a multi-plat. There was loads of games on that.
But they were first on the PlayStation, weren't they? I think it was later that it came out on the Saturn.
And it was almost like
people cared about them, long after people cared about them.
These are the games you play once you come home from the pub, where you've taken some ecstasy, you've had 3 pints of lager, 10 pints. You come home with your mates.
You've been at the nightclub, rave.
Yeah, exactly. You come home 3 in the morning, and you play PlayStation. That was it. That was the market they were going for. And by getting
they would put PlayStation units in like nightclubs and stuff, and they did a great job of getting that 20-something demographic.
Exactly. So they almost got a new demographic of people who go, oh, actually, I want to play football games. I want to play Tony Hawk's. I want to play, snowboarding games. I want to play. I don't want to be a hedgehog. Who runs along,
special.
Who jumps along and does kiddie stuff. That's not what.
Rapper.
Yeah, well, exactly. Another great one, like
the original
games
rhythm game.
And I think they did really well at getting all third-party. I don't know how they did it, but all these third-party developers.
Well, they tied down Namco, which was great. So you got Tekken and Ridge Racer only on the PlayStation, and they were both brilliant games. Especially Ridge Racer Type 4, and then you got also the big one was Squaresoft, wasn't it, with Final Fantasy VII, which completely screwed Nintendo.
Yeah, because Squaresoft realised that they couldn't put Final Fantasy VII on a cartridge with like 24 megabytes. How are they going to tell the epic story with all the cinematics?
It never worked.
No, it needs to be on. I'm sorry, guys, it needs to be on a CD.
It was a big mistake. I mean, if Nintendo made the N64 with a CD drive and it came out a year earlier, it might actually have beaten everything. But
potentially,
but by the time that they just waited too long to bring it out, unfortunately.
You know, but they made the N64 an amazing console.
Yeah, the thing is though, Nintendo in those days they kind of were panicked into making new consoles because when the NES was in its glory days, they were just happy to sit on that for forever. Then Sega came out with the Mega Drive, and Nintendo were like, "Shit, we've got to upgrade our NES," and that's when they made the Super Nintendo. Was kind of it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was a rush job, but they were prompted by Sega to make it really because Genesis does what Nintendo don't and all that stuff in America, and no, the same thing with the N64. Like their SNES was getting really long in the tooth. Sony and everybody had already announced their new systems, and they were like, "Crap, we better crack on with ours." And came out, I think, about 18 months after, wasn't it? Over everything else, did all right. To be fair, it wasn't a failure, was it really? But it wasn't a Super Nintendo. Super Nintendo was the last successful Nintendo console. I know people say, "Oh yeah, but N64, GoldenEye, and all that stuff." Yeah, but it didn't sell. It didn't sell anywhere near as much as the Super Nintendo did in terms of units.
But we're comparing success to how many
volume sales.
It's volume sales. If you look at it like that, okay, PlayStation 1, everyone else lost, but actually the N64 was in my opinion, of that generation. Well, I don't know. I like all of them, but it was a very good game.
I really struggle to choose between the three of them. If you twist them arm, I probably would say PlayStation, just because probably because I was still a kid when when I was like 12, 13 when it came out, and when it was in its heyday, I was 14, 15. So I didn't have loads of money, and the PlayStation had the cheapest games, and they're all good. So as the N64, you're looking at £60, but I still love that. I love the GoldenEye, Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, ISS 64.
The N64, the games look so much better to me than the PlayStation, and certainly the Sega Saturn, because it had so much more power. And things like Conker's Bad Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie, the Zelda games, Shadows of the Empire, Rogue Squadron.
That first battle on the Hoth, is that the first level? It wasn't it? Shadows of the Empire. That looked like you were in the film. Obviously now you're looking at it, it's like blurry and blocky and kind of crap, but at the time that was amazing. There was nothing like that on the PlayStation.
No, and you could really see the PlayStation 1's limits, and it couldn't quite do the same type of graphics as Nintendo.
Well, it couldn't do a GoldenEye. Your PlayStation wouldn't be able to do a GoldenEye, or it might be able to, but it'd be like the frame rate would be like crap, and it would just look blocky. Well, it was blocky on the N64, but it'd be even worse. Yeah,
exactly. You got a lot of tear, didn't you? I don't know, screen tear and things like that.
Jerkiness and lagginess. Although if you ever play Quake 2 on the PlayStation, that's actually really good. Even though a PC would cost 10 times as much that you would have to run that game on at the time. They did a bloody good job. But that's another conversation. But yeah, it was a really good gen. It was a really good era, like the fifth generation, I think it is. Was it the fifth?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
This is 8, isn't it, Ron, at the moment? So last one was around that. It was a good time. There was it was 3 really good consoles that each had some very good games. Ultimately, the PlayStation won out, but you couldn't really, you didn't really lose, did you? Whichever one you picked, you could dig out a whole load of games that were brilliant on each one.
Yeah. All right, should we call it a night?
I think we should call it a night. I think everybody's asleep, aren't they now?
I know. I'm getting pretty tired.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for listening again. And we had some other bits we were going to cover, but we can just tack them on to the end of the next one, so you won't miss out. And yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Go to the only retro game shop in London, which is
Playnation Games.
Indeed, the only one. And yeah, we'll be back again. Well, try and do another one every 2 weeks is what we aim for. Hopefully that'll be when the next one will be.
No problem. Thanks very much. See you later, guys.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.